Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 16th, 2023 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. As we begin our meeting tonight, want to start off with our first item, and I want to go ahead and set our agenda here real quick. And we do have a couple of minor changes to the agenda tonight. One is item 5.1, which is to review the land use plan amendment for medium density residential to low density residential for the Trimmer PUD located at Bender's Ferry Road and Gay Winds Drive. It's been deferred. Item 5.2, review the annexation and plan of services for the Trimmer PUD located at Bender's Ferry Road and Gay Winds Drive has been deferred. And item 5.3, review the preliminary master development plan unit development, including a rezone from Wilson County R1 to Mount Juliet RS40 located at Bender's Ferry Road and Gay Winds Drive also has been deferred from our agenda tonight. Any other changes, amendments, adjustments? We will set the agenda as stated. We're going to go a little bit out of order tonight. We have several very special guests. Not that every night that we conduct a planning commission with items on the agenda in the city of Mount Juliet is not a special meeting, because we're always very blessed to be able to have the opportunity to see things happening within our city. Blessed to have a wonderful city staff, wonderful people in the right places as we press forward with our community and all the changes that are here. But oftentimes as we press forward with the things that we have in our community, we're reminded of the people, the things and the times and where we came from. Been here almost the bulk of my entirety of my lifetime, and I've certainly seen it change in the time, and had an opportunity to be around a lot of great people that set a lot of groundwork and a firm foundation for what allows me personally to be here to this day. And with that, I'll have a few more comments in a moment. But with that, I would like to yield the floor to our city mayor, James Maness. And so, Mayor Maness, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this opportunity for, personal privilege here to make this presentation. This is definitely probably not something that we do regularly at the Planning Commission, maybe a little unorthodox. But I thought this meeting would be perfect, considered this gentleman's history and service to the city. And I thought, what better place to do it than here at the Planning Commission, where he has faithfully served this city for so many years. So I have a proclamation here for Mr. Phil Smart. Sir, if you'll come up here and join me. Got a proclamation. It says, whereas the city of Mount Juliet wishes to recognize longtime banker Phil Smart for his outstanding contributions to Mount Juliet, and whereas his half-century worth of service in the banking industry has helped shape this community we live in, and his versatility to move through the banking business from bookkeeping to bank teller to loan officer to senior vice president, and whereas the city of Mount Juliet wishes Mr. Phil Smart, a former Mount Juliet planning commissioner and current executive committee member of the Joint Economic Community Development Board, a happy and healthy retirement. So, sir, therefore, I, James Maness, mayor of the city of Mount Juliet, do hereby recognize you, sir, Mr. Phil Smart, for all the work you have done for this community. And we want to present this to you. And we'll move up here in just a second and snap a few more pictures. Okay. But what isn't written on here is you need to know about this man. He has endured, is it safe to say, hours of phone calls from me asking questions over the years? Oh, yeah. You have offered guidance and advice over the years, and you know what you've done for this city and what you've done for the community and at large. I mean, it's more than what you've done just sitting at this table and through your professional. I know for me personally, you've spoken to my life so many times and given me wonderful advice. You've always been there to listen. A few times you were probably afraid I was calling to ask you to get back on the Planning Commission, but you still took my call. So yep. Would you like to say anything?
It's been a pleasure, and this has been a motivation of my life. My granddaddy served the county commission for 40 years, as well as Diane knows and Larry knows. And my dad served Glayville Utility District and others. And my granddaddy died and left me with one thought. He said, make this community a better place than it was when he got here. And that's what I've tried to do. And I hope I've done that and not stick my nose in where it didn't belong. I didn't call you when you didn't want me to, but it's been a real pleasure and a love. And my wife's been my support. She got me up for every meeting and told me where I was supposed to be and what to do. So I think this community, you wouldn't believe what happened here during my lifetime, Larry's lifetime, Diane's lifetime, and Luke's lifetime, good part of it. But there was a pond in the middle of Providence Marketplace with a pipe sticking out of it with water spewing over it. That's the way it was, and I rode the school bus to school, Mount Juliet Road. So, wish we could have done a lot more. Looking back at what we did, we made some mistakes that I'd like to correct, but you can't go back and do it. You just try to make it as best you can. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mayor. Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back the floor.
Thank you all for that time and patience right there. I was blessed a couple of weeks ago to be reached out by staff and say, as the chairman of the planning commission, you get to control your agenda up here and what comes on and what goes on through your meetings. And so I couldn't have been more honored to be in a position to where got to recognize somebody that's been such a positive influence within my life and kind of live always by the same philosophy as what can you do to make it better? And those that know me personally know that I even spent a long time of my work career in the banking industry. And the reason why I chose to get into banking, because Mr. Smart does have two sons. One is 1 year older, one is 1 year younger. And I got to watch the way that he carried himself amongst his family, the way he carried himself amongst things such as Little League Ballpark, Mount Juliet High School, involved with almost every committee, Rotarian, service here on this planning commission. It's just, you can't say how many things are out there, agree or disagree sometimes, but always keeping your heart, your mind in the right place. And that's certainly been my intent. And so it's an honor to be sitting here as your chairman because Mr. Smart was on this this planning commission as I entered a long time ago now. And you've probably heard me make mention to say that I look around and somehow I'm the older or tenured one here, and that still doesn't feel like that should be the person, I guess. But it was a honor to be presented by that, an honor to be sitting up here at this meeting and be able to recognize Mr. Smart. So I've shared with him many times my personal gratitude for his friendship and what he's done in Mount Juliet, and I hope that reciprocates all the way through. So with that being said, we'll move forward with our meeting tonight. Our third item up will be our staff report. So I'll yield the floor to Ms. Hamlin.
I don't know how I could possibly follow that. My eyes are sweating a little bit, y'all. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Smart. He's been great for our community, and he taught me a lot of what I know just by listening to him through the years and my various roles for the city. So I definitely appreciate his service and all that he's taught so many behind him. So thank you for that, Mr. Smart. Wanted to remind you guys that March the 27th from 5:15 to 6 p.m. is a work session in this room for the UGB expansion. This would be a great opportunity for you guys to kind of get an idea of where we're looking for any of those expansion areas and to get involved in that way. And just a quick reminder that next month is our annual meeting. So if you're interested in retaining your seats or moving along for somebody else to come in, start making plans for that and maybe politicking behind the scenes if that's what you want to do. And with that, I mean begging Mr. Winchester to keep his seat. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Barlow.
Well, thank you very much. And I definitely want to say thank you to Phil Smart on his time of service. When I came here to the city, he was on the planning commission, and it's been amazing. You get to talk with people, and so many people here that we get to know that have grown up here and have been involved in the city and the city's history. He's been fantastic to talk to, even after his time on the planning commission. I know we don't get to talk as much as I would like, but I always value wisdom that we can gain from the experience of others. And so he has that in spades. And so this honor for him is very well deserved. I'll let Shane talk a little bit kind of about the stormwater utility and recent project completion that we've had. Shane, go ahead and start into that.
Last few times I've been here, I've been updating you about the Mundy Park improvement project, redoing the pond and the drainage out there. I'm proud to say we are, minus the fence being fixed, complete with the project. It's open back to the public.
Wow.
And leading into that, we're going to begin collecting our stormwater fees with the next sewer bill coming out. So appreciate the BOC, the Planning Commission, everybody's support on getting this utility up and going and finally having some tangible, something we can give to the citizens of Mount Juliet that's tangible in getting projects on the board and funding for stormwater and flood mitigation.
Yeah. What's that?
YouTube?
Maybe.
No, I don't know.
Let's not.
everybody how
let's
to watch
not-
your YouTube.
Oh, nobody needs to see me on TV any more than they have to. Anyway, look for Mr. Beasley with all of his information that he's putting out on that. He's been fantastic. But yeah, so the stormwater utility is a big thing. And I'll just point out the Mundy Park Pond. You may think, what's that going to do? That's at the headwaters of Stoner Creek. And it cut down, I think it was about 80 acres. It cut down the peak flow by 83% versus what it was before. So you talk about 80 acres at the headwaters of the creek. That being unabated before. You remember 2 years ago what we saw with the Raging River Rampage down in front of Valley Center. That will help. It's not going to prevent it, but it's going to help the severity of those kinds of things and more projects like that through our stormwater utility. That's really what we're looking for, and so we're really excited about. There's other benefits to the stormwater utility, cleaner, better water for us and stuff like that. But of utmost importance for us is repair, maintenance, and mitigation of some of our flooding issues. Did want to update some of the recent goings-ons that our department has had, particularly with as it pertains to some of the regional aspects. One of the things that I got the privilege to be able to do this morning was to speak on a panel for transportation in the region with the Leadership Middle Tennessee group that was out at Cumberland University. So that was an honor and one that I'm proud to represent the city on. And but with that, talking with some of the folks there, one of the fellows there was Preston Elliott. He's basically the deputy commissioner at TDOT over environment and planning. He was there, and we've had a lot of conversations with him lately, amongst others. Will Reed, the deputy commissioner over engineering, and other project managers. Of the topic has been the city's commitment of the $25 million to go toward the Central Pike interchange. That has really turned some heads at the state. It has put us on the map, figuratively and literally. It is an example that is being used and going to be used statewide. I know the commissioner spoke about it last night. He had the floor at the Leadership Middle Tennessee out at Cedar Creek,
And so this is not just being talked about here, it's being talked about region wide about what we've been doing. And it's going to be a model for other cities. We're setting the standard and the model for what other cities across the state are going to need to do to put their skin in the game. We've raised the bar as a city, and for a city of our size doing that, that's amazing. And I couldn't be more thankful for our elected body, for everything that we've had here. We're very, very blessed to be able to actually go out with that amount of money and say and do that. And I know that we will be repaid for that through other opportunities and other revenues that we're going to gain from that. It's quality of life, but it's also going to give us new qualities of things and opportunities that we get as a city. So that is it's been a career privilege to be able to be a part of something like this. And I got to say again, thank you to our elected body for supporting that. So that's it. I don't want to talk too long. So I think that's all I've got unless there's any questions. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Any questions for staff? Wonderful. With that being said, our next item up on our agenda will be our citizens' comments. Public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on our agenda. There will be 2 opportunities for you to make comments. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, and anyone wishing to make any comments right now is welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments, move on to our next item on the agenda. It's item 2.1. The Planning Commission minutes approval from the special meeting conducted February 23rd, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Any changes, adjustments, amendments? One?
Just my presence at the meeting. I came in a little bit late, but I was there.
That is correct. Any additional typos, changes? Looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Motion.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath our consent agenda. We'll begin with item 3.1, development letter of credit, number TFTS-915567 for Nichols Vale, Phase 3, Section 1, the amount of $136,873.48 can be released. Item 3.2, the development letter of credit, cashier's check, number 152010696 for Nichols Vale, Phase 5, Section 5, A and B, in the amount of $95,782.60 can be released. Item 3.3, review the final master development plan, site plan for the Village at Pleasant Grove, Phase 1, commercial, located at 555 Pleasant Grove Road. Item 3.4, review the preliminary plat for Bender's Ferry, located at 771 Bender's Ferry Road. Item 3.5, review the final master development plan for Bender's Ferry, located at 771 Bender's Ferry Road. Ms. Hamlin?
Thank you. The final master development plans that you have before you are in keeping with the preliminary master development plan, which is why we chose to put those on consent agenda tonight. The only additional comments that I would like to add is for items 3.4 and 3.5. And at the Board of Commissioners, as part of the approving ordinance, they requested that they show a right-of-way access to the Wolcott property. And I would just like that shown on subsequent plans going forward.
Wonderful. Mr. Barlow, anything you wish to add?
No additional comments.
Questions or comments from the commission? Got one quick one here. I made myself a note late today and I've not looked at it. One of the things that I've been asking for here of late has been lighting at the entrances to Bender's Ferry. Is this plan reflective of lighting at the entrance of Bender's Ferry? At both entrances?
I believe that was a condition of approval at the BOC. The applicant is here if they want to confirm that they.
I would love to confirm I've got lights at both entrance points on Bender's Ferry. Name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. Kelly Frank, 10 Lee Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee. There will be decorative lighting at both entrances. That was an ordinance condition. It's called out in the plans. It's not shown in detail, but that'll be something that we add at construction documents.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that being said, this time I'd like to ask for citizen comments in regards to any item on our consent agenda. Anyone wishing to make comment is welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to these items on our consent agenda. Got a motion for approval and a second. Is that with the addition of staff comments to 3435 on showing the right-of-way access to the Wilcott property?
Wolcott, yes, sir.
Wolcott
And then, of course, any additional staff comments listed on our staff report.
As stated.
Motion and second stand. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath a master plan preliminary plat. It's item 4.1. It's review the Page variable lot subdivision master plan and preliminary plat located at 315 and 345 Main Street. Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. As you stated, this is a master site development plan, which is required when you come in with a variable lot subdivision. It's for 7 lots on Page Drive. There's no land use plan amendment or rezone requested with this proposal. The density requested is 1.85 units per acre, which is in keeping with their base zoning district, and a half acre of open space is provided along the rear of the property, where they'll be placing a 20-foot wide greenway and a public access easement to eventually connect to a continuing greenway system. If you'll notice, and I'll let Mr. Barlow speak more to this, that they've requested by Public Works the T or Y turnaround, which would be typical for school bus, dump truck, fire truck, etc., to make that maneuver. They are asking for 2 different variances. I believe we supported both of those. One is to provide sidewalks on one side of the street only. Staff supports that, I believe, as well as our Public Works Department supported that variance for this small road serving 7 lots. And I believe they've left enough room so if the property next door were to ever develop, that they could add that in the future. And they've also asked for a variance to the residential design guidelines, and they have provided you some sample elevations of what they have in mind for the homes over there. We did support that, but we would like to reserve the right to refer any elevation back to the Planning Commission if they're not in keeping with what you guys are looking at tonight. They have a protection area on their lots that are exceeding 12%, which is in the open space. That might be disturbed a little bit for that greenway system, but that is, the rest of those are preserved in the open space. And with that said, staff recommends approval with our conditions listed.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barlow?
Yes, so I did want to call attention to Public Works comments.
3, where we talk about the turnaround. I think Shane and Shorty have done a pretty good job of trying to capture that. So it is basically our code allows for a cul-de-sac, which is what we usually see. It also does allow for a T or a Y turnaround. So they have installed one that meets that requirement. The only concern I think that we would have with that would be homeowners just using it as a place to park their RV or other vehicles or things like that. So we did want to have the note of the no parking signs in those locations. One of the things that I didn't realize as we were going through the comments, and I realized from the time we put the comments out till tonight, is that when we had first seen this, the roadway was shown as an access easement. And what you see on sheet C1, it shows it as a right of way. I think I would want some clarification on that. We actually, I think, if you had it as a private access a public access easement, but owned and maintained by the HOA, I think it makes the sidewalk on the one side more in keeping with our typical standards and it wouldn't meet necessarily the public right-of-way requirement for the others. So I do want to leave the ability to have the road double fronted at some point in time in the future. But I think with these limited number of lots and the expense of the roadway, and really there's no connectivity options, I don't really care that it's right of way. I'd actually almost prefer it be a private or a public access easement and owned and maintained by the HOA. That's the only thing I think as a point that I would like to just get clarification and finality on tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Questions or comments from the commission? Please, Commissioner Cunningham.
I know we're going to come back and address this eventually based on the materials, the variance for the materials here. I just want to point out the examples of properties here have a lot of wood siding to them, stained wood. And I think in here, it mentions that cementous materials, does that mean masonry product as well?
The applicant has proposed hardy in those locations.
I rest my case.
Thank you.
That's good.
Wonderful. Let's go ahead and ask for representation to the project and name and address for the record.
Jessica Gore, Fair Design, 2033 North Mount Juliet Road.
Specifically related to the right-of-way or the easement, we initially submitted with a private access easement, but then when we resubmitted, the planning team suggested that they did not really want the access road to be part of those lots. So that's why we came back in showing the right-of-way and a variable lot subdivision instead. So we're getting a little bit of a conflict.
Does that help you, Mr. Barlow?
It does, and I think Jennifer can probably speak to that being shown within the lots a little bit. I think whether it's in the lots or out, from a maintenance perspective, if I have my druthers, it would be not owned by the city. But I think it's the lots as drawn and the road as shown can be done. And also and it's really just a matter of how we plat it, honestly. I don't think the plan changes whether it's publicly owned right of way or neighborhood owned easement.
Who's going to maintain the trail?
That would be the city. We clarified many moons ago after Jackson Hills constructed their portion that, and Gino can confirm this. It's been many years, Gino, but I know we had the discussion about developments doing these. The original intent was the developments building these, they'd be part of the city greenway system, but the developments would own them. But I think there's some legality issues to that basically the neighborhoods can't do that with legal issues. So I think basically we have to. There's not really a choice. If it's part of our future greenway system, which this is, then it would be something that we have to own and maintain. They build it, but we own and maintain it.
Just at this point, we don't have connection on either side, right?
Correct. There's one property over Hickory Station Townhomes does have it.
Okay. Can you guys, I mean, if it's a private access easement, can you still get back there to access it if it's not a public?
Yes. So I think one of the ideas of that would be that it would be allowed for the general public. You could walk from the greenway on the sidewalk. If you had it as long as it's not like a gated type of roadway, you can still have it set up to where the access is provided there. And I think ultimately, if this gets built, I think it could be a very wise small project to connect the two pieces and actually have something that goes somewhere.
Yeah. Let's see, from the, I forget the name of the small park right there at Division, but
Eagle Park.
Eagle Park.
That's right.
Potentially people coming down here to get a little bit more.
I will say that the client had intended to gate that access when it was going to be a private drive. So that could be an issue if it is to be private and to be maintained by the HOA. They may want it gated. The other item I will bring to your attention is, just like Andy was saying, that the trails are typically maintained by the city. In most of our subdivisions with public roads, which this was proposed both ways, so we can go either way with it. The sidewalks are typically maintained by the city as well, are required and maintained by the city. So in this case, it would be the roadway and the sidewalk would be maintained by the HOA. And there would be a possibility that it would be gated, which could limit access to that trail in the future. Not so if it is connected with the other pieces. It's just something we need to iron out.
So are we looking at it, the proposal, what we have before us is a private drive or a public drive?
It's proposed as a public drive,
Okay.
per the last comments that we had received from planning.
Okay. Fabulous. I got one question for you. So I saw a couple comments in regards to where you're going to put the mailbox kiosk, and I can't really scale this plan. In looking at it, what are your thoughts?
Well, I will tell you that I did look up the growth manager for the United States Postal Service to see if something this size would still qualify for a kiosk, or if they would allow the single boxes, because this is smaller than typical. And I have not gotten in touch with them yet.
Okay.
But I did pull from the Postal Service what their requirements are. Of course, in the larger subdivisions that you've been seeing in the PUD conditions, you've seen some nice pull-up covered, but that is not required by the Postal Service. They actually will allow you to put a stand that is allows 8 parcel delivery boxes. It's a single stand, key entry. So I do think it can be done without a full drive-in parking, get out like we've had in the larger subdivisions. And I think it would be appropriate for 7 lots.
So you think you just kind of a 2 foot wide, 4 foot
I
tall
think
kind
so.
of a
And I
kiosk?
think it would probably go either at the front of the neighborhood within the front area landscaped, but I don't think it would not have a pull in and
Yeah.
parking and cover like what you're used to seeing for the 100+ lot subdivisions.
I still think we could cover it and light it as staff has requested.
I could definitely inquire with the client, because I think they're going to want to do some nice street lighting anyway for those homes.
Maybe incorporate it somewhere like that. I've got a couple of friends that are mail, do mail
Carriers.
delivery, yeah. And they say it really stinks when you get to those kiosks and there is no coverage on it, and they're standing in the rain, and then the people fuss at them because everything's soaking wet because they've had to stand in the rain right there to get the kiosk loaded out there. And these are super nice houses, so I would imagine lots of probably mail packages, et cetera, going into them there. And so, yeah, if
We
we
could
could get it,
definitely work with Jennifer on getting something approved with the construction documents.
perfect.
That, and if, just like with the building elevations, if she felt uncomfortable, she could send us back to Planning Commission
Yeah,
for you
just
to
something-
review that.
Couple of 6x6 posts, little shed roof, something complimentary to the neighborhood.
My
the
hope is
facades.
that they would allow singles, but with it being, I don't know what the cutoff is on that.
Yeah.
So I've got that call in.
Perfect. Thank you. Further questions, comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This time, let's call for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda. That is my understanding, yes, sir. It's a public road. Yeah. Or if we do it, well, it's,
It's presented as public right.
it's not a condition that needs to go private, correct? No. Sorry, just reading a couple of notes real quick. Yeah, it's not in there. I'll make a motion to approve, subject to staff comments and as well as granting the variances. It's a motion. Did I capture all that?
Got it.
Perfect. It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda is item 5.4, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. It is to review the preliminary master development plan, plan unit development for Project Prosper, located off Rutland Drive. Ms. Hamel.
Thank you. I feel like I could talk about this one in my sleep because we've met about it a lot these days. So you have before you 160,057 square foot retail store and an associated 35,000 square foot in-home delivery facility located within the Legacy Point development. They have asked for a number of waivers that I will go over after they have made a presentation to you guys, just so we're all reading those one at a time and can really take in what the ask is and what we will settle with. They have worked with us over the past year almost to get the plans where they are today, but more specifically in the past few days, which is why you have some new plans before you. They are asking for the fueling center, 12 pumps to serve 24 vehicles. Again, that's another variance that they're asking for with these plans. If you guys want to take a look at the new set of plans that they've given you, I can tell you what's changed since the plans in your packet. And this is what I'm talking about, this plan with the note from Tyler on the front. So in recent meetings, we've asked for some additional landscaping here along this pond that's existing at the corner of Volunteer and Rutland. We've asked for pedestrian connectivity from Rutland to the front of the store. And in lieu of the cart corrals that I've asked for in your staff report, they have agreed to move the cart corrals as proposed up against the heavily landscaped islands to screen those from public view. So that's not my favorite, but it's not a hill worth dying on. So I'm okay with that. I've asked for robust landscaping with this. We actually have a landscape plan that you've noticed in here, not quite ready for that yet. So I don't have a lot of comments from our landscape consultant because it's not specifically the time for that. I would, once Andy goes over his plans, like to reserve some time with you guys to go over the waivers. But I think it's best, given the development, that we hear from Mr. Barlow, get a presentation for the development from the applicant, and then we can go over any requested waivers and questions that you guys might have for me. Staff does recommend approval with some of our conditions. Some of those have changed. Again, I'd like to reserve time with you guys
Very well.
once that presentation takes place. Thank you.
Please, thank you. Mr. Barlow.
Well, thank you very much. I think, so this project, as you may be familiar, you've seen some construction out there off of Golden Bear over the past several months, mass grading, and now we've got two Class A office buildings going up. One's getting close to being finished, and the other's got some, I think, steel structures is up. So this is part of the larger Legacy Point development. This area is generally, or was generally, when you first saw that, Phase 3. So Phase 1 is what's already been built out. Phase 2 is sort of a little bit, I guess, east of here on the opposite side of Legacy Point. and then closer to the interstate. So, or I guess backing up more to the industrial zoned areas behind it. So, this is the piece, the westernmost piece along Rutland Drive. And so you can kind of see Legacy Point Boulevard. That's actually going to be built as part of the larger Legacy Point development. And so that is part of it's already up to binder, and the remainder of it, I think it's going to be finished probably summer to late summer, I'd say, this year. And so infrastructure is going good out there. It's a lot already in. The development team has pretty substantial improvements that they have done and are doing at Golden Bear, double left turn lanes, double right turn lanes, the whole complement, and a signal based on the approved and planned demand. Particularly, I think this site will come into play. So I think one of the, as you see, they have the Rutland Drive improvements shown on their plan. They have it to their westernmost access point, which if you're looking at the site plan, it's on the top side of their site, right next to their stormwater basin, which is for not just this site, but it's for basically everything that they've done out there. So it's a large regional pond. And so to the, I guess to the north is the Jack Lowry property. It's some very prime real estate for out parcels that was not part of this project, but we have seen some proposals in the past. And so that's Golden Bear actually splits the Lowry property, so to say. The FedEx property was part of that. So it's both sides there. So with that in mind, I think, some of the concern, probably the last remaining concern I had was there's a box culvert west, actually literally on the west side of the boundary of this larger property here on the side where the stormwater basin is. And that is an undersized, as we think, box culvert there. It's a single barrel box culvert. If just for comparison's sakes, Golden Bear Gateway has box culvert immediately downstream from this, literally just a few hundred feet down from it. And it's a 3-barrel box culvert. So you can just know that 1 to 3, there's a big difference in size. So also the width of the road right there, this would leave basically the last remaining part of Rutland Drive unimproved. And so we have looked at that. We've had a lot of discussions with the development team on that over the past few weeks. And so I think some still remains. We tried to capture that on comment number 3 under the Public Works heading, and a little bit on, let's see, I think, yeah, that's it. And so the applicant's good with the right turn deceleration lane on Golden Bear at Legacy Point Boulevard. But I think this one it's because there's some cost unknowns. I would say to this body that this is a PUD. It's going to be going to the Board of Commissioners. There's still some knowns that we need to figure out on that. And so I think I think we still have time to get that settled out as far as trying to figure out maybe some of the risks of the cost concerns there and what that looks like. So I will say that's one of those things that is kind of hanging out there. I don't know that I want to belabor that much past this discussion per se, as we still have to try to get some more knowns on it. So particularly cost, what it looks like, and how big that has to be, or does it need to be upsized? Can it just be extended? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. I think everything else, by and large, infrastructure wise, the regional pond's already in, most of the transportation infrastructure's in. This site is prime and ready for the most part. Thank you. Shane, do you have anything else?
Can I add one more thing?
Please.
You also have a new set of elevations. So when they are going over their presentation with you guys, you'll be able to follow along on the new elevations that they're proposing.
This time, do we have any questions or comments from the commission at this moment? Let's go ahead and ask for representation and name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Cherie Akers. I'm with BL Companies. We're the planning and engineering firm of record. And we are at 3102 West End Avenue in Nashville. All right. Well, thank you. I intended to somewhat be brief, but we can go through a little bit of our presentation. As you know, and as Jennifer already pointed out, the project is currently zoned for commercial, interstate commercial. It's part of the Legacy Point Golden Bear mixed use development. We are requesting a PUD request, and this is mostly due to some waivers that we need from some of the commercial design standards and a few of the zoning code. We're consistent and compatible with adjacent land uses, so it's very appropriate. And as Andy indicated, the parcel is very ripe for development. And we are proposing, as Jennifer indicated, 160,000 square feet of general retail. We're also proposing a 12-pump fuel facility that accommodates 24 vehicles. We are also proposing a 35,000 square foot home delivery facility. This is a facility for some of the larger items that people order online that can be delivered locally. It's part of the Costco. There's approximately 828 parking spaces that we're proposing, and access is provided on Rutland and Legacy Point Boulevard. As Jennifer indicated, and I know we're going to go through them in more detail, but just briefly, two of the code regulations that we are requesting a waiver from as part of the PUD process is section 9-104.3, which is in regards to the minimum aisle width is 26 feet. We are proposing 24. Actually, it's the other way around, isn't it, Jennifer?
You were proposing 24.
Yeah.
But that also provides a larger stall, which I think
Right.
we've all
We're doing that
wanted
by
to do.
20 feet as opposed to your regulations, which is 18 feet. So we end up with a bigger parking area. And then section 3-104, we are requesting to exceed your maximum of 8 fuel pumps and serving 16 vehicles to request 4 additional pumps to accommodate 8 additional vehicles. This is just to share with you a little bit, as she indicated, a landscape plan isn't required at this time, but we wanted to show you how it might look and feel and give you a sense of that in reality. So we have enhanced the landscaping, as Jennifer said, above code in some areas and heavily landscaped parking islands, and also to field from some of the views of any equipment that might be on the roof as well. And we're also landscaping around the stormwater basin. Just some statistics of the impact we have. As you all know, the cat's out of the bag here. It is Costco. That's hopefully coming to your town. And we are anticipating this will add about 275 jobs. Obviously, it's additional tax revenue for the community. And Costco is very involved in giving back to the community and being involved. They have a long tradition of this, and obviously would continue here in Mount Juliet as well. And also, this development will spur additional development and other retail opportunities that will be available to your residents. I'm going to talk just briefly about the architectural renderings, more about some of the waivers we're requesting. We do have our architect here from MG2, and he'll be happy to answer any specific questions that you might have. One of the requests from staff that we've been able to work out through this process is to add some additional brick. And these are the new renderings that you have in front of you, hopefully. And we've kind of compromised and worked out, and we've added an additional brick to the site to kind of mesh with the also panels that are proposed. So I think we have reached an agreement with staff, and we've been happy to accommodate those requests. These are the waivers that we're asking for the design standards. Essentially, I think based on our meetings that we've had this week, we worked most of these out. I don't believe we have any that staff and all of us aren't agreeing on, or we have compromised. The first one is in regards to the service areas from the public road or private street. We have added additional screening for those as well. That's shown on the landscape plan that is part of your package. And then section 6-103.7, it's in regards to commercial design standards for a waiver to the HVAC screening. We have compromised with staff and we are adding some additional landscaping, and we also agree going forward, we'll either screen those with a additional parapet or some other type of screening. The third waiver on our commercial design standards is section 6-103.7. This is allowed compactors to be screened via landscaping. We are doing that. We've added some additional landscaping so they're not viewed from the road. And also the compactors are completely enclosed. They are serviced from inside the building, so there's nothing on the outside that would show visually to the residents. The next one is in regards to wall signs. We have a number of waivers allowing for additional square footage for the wall signs that are above and beyond our variance request. I believe we're in conformance and staff is in agreement with those waivers. And then finally, for the gas canopy, we're also asking for the signs on the gas canopy as well. And I believe staff is supportive of that request. These are just some of the architectural renderings that you have in front of you that I've somewhat explained. This is the gas canopy. We're proposing 2 colors of brick, and it's over 43% of the buildings will be brick. And we can go back to these if you have any specific questions. We're also asking for some sign waivers that I discussed earlier, and I believe we're in staff and are in agreement with those sign waivers. And that concludes the presentation. If you have any specific questions, or Jennifer, if you want to go through the waivers more specifically.
Yeah, let's hear, I know I have some, I'd like to ask a few myself, but let's yield the floor back to Ms. Hamlin and hear your comments and whatnot, and let's press forward.
All right. Would you mind, Sheree, to bring up the elevation sheet with all elevations showing?
Yeah.
While she's doing that, I'm going to just go over our staff report one at a time. So yes, ma'am. Thank you. So the first waiver they're asking for is to allow the 24-foot wide drive aisles in lieu of the 26-foot. Our parking stall requirements are 9 foot by 17.5. They're proposing 10 foot by 20. That makes so much more sense, especially with the large carts associated with this type of business. So staff definitely supports that. I think we've even asked other businesses to provide those larger stalls. And so no problem with that waiver. The 3-104.7, a variance to allow the 12 fuel pumps to serve 24 vehicles. This site is included in the 2,000-foot radius, which allows the fueling in the CI zoning. Due to this business, I definitely do not have a problem supporting that. But here's where we get a little tricky. Section 6-103.7, our commercial design standards. So your new plans have new percentages. So our east elevation is showing 42.9% quick brick and 47.8% architectural metal paneling. And Sheree, do you want to, with the laser pointer, show them that east elevation? East elevation is for Rutland Road. It's facing Rutland Road. So that's where the tire center is going to be located. So that's where you've got most of your brick there on that Rutland Road side. The west elevation, they're proposing 7.2% quick brick, and I believe it's 89.8% architectural metal paneling. And that's on a side that you will never see. So staff does not have a problem with that request at all. The south elevation, which faces Legacy Point, they're requesting the 2.2% or 20.2% quick brick there. I believe in meeting with Commissioner Hefner, they may have agreed to a little bit more brick on the left side of the screen up top. Is that the case?
That is the case. Yes.
So we'll, if this moves forward before first reading, get revised elevations on that. I just want you to know though, that see the south elevation continues there on the bottom of the screen. So that's one long wall there. So you've got those, I'm pointing like to anything here, sorry. Like you know what I'm pointing at, that south elevation, that's on that same elevation. So they're asking for a variance also to allow those loading areas to be visible from public view. Let's see. The grade there, if you're looking at the site plan, you can see it's grade off. The grade is 4 feet lower in that area than the parking lot where those dock doors are. So between the landscaping that they've added in the islands, as well as landscaping closer to the building, you will have to be very close to the building to be able to see that fully from view. So staff did support that. I was talking to them this week about the trash compactors. I was having a little heartburn about that, being able to see that from public view. It did make me feel a little better about supporting the variance, being as they are fully enclosed and can only be accessed from the interior of the facility. So I think the intent for a dumpster enclosure per se is to screen any additional garbage that could have fallen out from people being careless when they put those in there. And again, with the additional landscaping and that grade drop, I don't feel like that's an unfair ask for that waiver. Let's see, the HVAC system, y'all know that's a big one for me, screening those HVAC units, and they have refrigeration units up top also. They have committed to us to raise the parapet wall on that southerly portion where you could see it from Legacy. They've got some site visibility renderings for you guys to look at. But more importantly, they have committed to us tonight that should we get out into the field and see those at a later date, once it's completed, that they're committed to maybe a screen wall or something after the fact. So I feel like that this is something that can progress on, and we can work that out as long as we have that commitment from those guys that they'll be fully screened from public view. Some of those units are 7 feet tall, so we definitely want to make sure that we don't see those from the road. I believe that Ms. Johnson will pick up the rest on your signs, but we definitely support what they're asking for, and they've worked with us on those as well.
In regards to the signage, typically what we do with a big box building, anything over 75,000 square feet, we do allow an additional 50% added on to the maximum square footage allowances. They, with this building, they have requested 4 signs. I will say that they had additional signage on the building. We went back, asked them to reduce that, and they did accordingly. So we're willing to work with them on that. Typically, what would be allowed for this size building would be 720 square feet. What they have come in at with 4 signs is 1,071 square feet. In regards to the overall scale and size of the building, I think it's conducive. I think it would look good because there's nothing worse than tiny signs on a very large building. DeStaco on Belinda Parkway or Mundy Park Drive is actually a good representation of too small a signage for a very large building. So I do actually think that this would be adequate for that size building. In regards to the gasoline canopies, typically we only allow 2 signs per the canopies, 1 on each side, but they've requested 4, so 1 for each elevation. They've not requested additional square footage to increase the size. It's typically 20 square foot. So they're basically going from 40 square feet to 80 square feet. And again, I think it is conducive to the size of the fuel pumps since they're increasing those dramatically.
So comments that you can delete from the condition list are 8 and 9. And those are provide the sidewalk from the public right-of-way to the front of the store on Rutland Drive. That's included in the new set that they've given you tonight. So just 8, sorry, just 8 there.
Just 8.
Yes, sir. I have 7 underlined. If you guys are okay with the cart corrals as proposed against the landscaped islands rather than the rendering that I have included on your staff report. They felt like the wheels and the carts banging up against the curbing would provide damage to their carts. They're expecting about 600 members an hour in peak hours. And so that's a lot of wear and tear on those carts. So that's why they prefer to have them in the metal cart corrals, as you would typically see. So that one will need to be addressed if this moves forward tonight. And then I just want to touch on comment number 12. I have included a note on the plans that in the event of a weather-related fire, etc., displacement of the established trees, the existing vegetation shall be replaced immediately. And that's specifically for the existing vegetation along Volunteer Boulevard between that and the pond that's existing. I have supported 100% basically metal besides a small water table in the back there. And that would provide me a little more comfort should that screening disappear, that they would reestablish that in the event of a tornado or et cetera, removing those trees. Thank you.
Capture it all. Good.
Thank you. I was trying to talk slow.
No, that's okay. That's okay. A lot going on, a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot for sure. So that's exactly why I wanted to get you guys familiar with the project and then touch back on that. So thanks for allowing me to do that.
I got a couple just back for representation to the project and hopefully pretty simple. Just want to be clear on a couple things. One is we have no vinyl siding. That's correct.
Correct.
And we have no exposed concrete block.
No.
That was removed. We
Removed?
did see it
Okay.
at first,
Just want to
but
hear
that
it.
has been removed since
The
first middle.
And then we got them referenced as painted metal panels in one place, and then we have them as architectural metal paneling. What are you using for your metal panels? I'm pretty familiar with your product, so I'm just kind of manufacturer.
Mr. Chairman, would it be okay if John, their
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be
architect,
great.
popped up?
Please. Name and address for the record.
John DePogny, 7703 Virginia Lane, Falls Church, Virginia. The manufacturer of the architectural engineered metal panels is Span and Butler. So actually Butler is the one that manufactures it. Span is the one that installs it. So
They're pre-finished panels as they
they're
come to
not
you.
painted. They're not painted.
Are they powder coat or like a semi-gloss? What is their paint finish on them?
I actually don't know exactly
Okay.
what they're finished with. Yeah, I will find out and let you know.
Yeah, or the Board of Commissioners out there, or that'll
Okay.
be your next item will be the Board of Commissioners. Would love to hear that addressed at the Board of Commissioners so that they can be filled in on those right there.
Okay.
That takes care of me for architectural at this moment. I'd stay up there, not that somebody else might have one. And just a couple things out of curiosity. I'm not an engineer by any means out there. But a couple things come up to me just as I'm looking at it, because I know that it apparently gives staff a little bit of heartburn on your loading docks. And your north, I'm trying to figure out my elevations here, or my directions. Your west side, which is your in-house home delivery side of your building. Curious why that's just not flipped. And it takes it out of public view, and it looks like your ingress egress, particularly for tractor trailers, is much better on the other side of the building. So I'm just curious why that was not flipped, because the point of access that I love for your building is all the way on that west, or I'm going to call it your northwest corner of your facility over there, where you've got 2 ways out, 1 way in. And if I'm driving one of those, which I've driven one of those before, looks like that would be a cleaner movement for me, most likely pulling a 53-foot trailer. So I'm just curious why it just wasn't flipped.
We actually asked the same question, especially the conflicts with pedestrians that would present with their main deliveries being in the front of the building. So I'd like to
I just love to
hear
hear.
about that too.
The operations department of Costco is what dictated this design. There are box trucks in the rear, the side towards Volunteer. Those are smaller box trucks. Those are what go out to the homes. And on the Legacy Point Boulevard side, those are the trucks that deliver. I had the same questions that you have,
Yeah.
and I lost my argument with the operations department 4 times. So this is what I was told, was that's the way it had to be designed.
Mr. Chairman, would you ask for a Costco representative so we could ask that question of them?
That'd be great. I mean, it just looks so hard.
Sorry. Hi, Renee Rutherford, 45940 Horseshoe Drive, Sterling, Virginia. The reason it's for cross-dock configuration. So John was starting to describe that, where we do have the delivery trucks that come in, and then we have, I guess, the larger tractor trailers that come in, bring in the items that get delivered the next day. But it's a floor plan configuration inside. So where it's moving from one side, deliveries in, and then deliveries out go the other way. It's a way to keep our production of our deliveries moving faster. And so it is kind of getting that big and bulky furniture in and out within a day. So it's an operations thing. Sorry, just of efficiencies. And I see the chagrins, but it's trying to keep things as efficient, as quick as possible. And the whole thing is to get as many things in and out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And I'm with you there. I mean, but looking at a movement standpoint, it looks like you had to back 2 your drive aisles back, most likely did that to compensate for the radius and be able to turn the tractor trailer around there in the front versus pushing those 2 drive aisles back up there where everything's even across that point. So, I mean, that's what
Michelle, their engineer, was flagging me down. She said, "Don't forget about the grade change." She wanted to remind you guys that
It's also tucked really
4
deeply into the
feet
site's race.
below the
Yeah, I
grade
mean, it
there.
just-
So
and I mean, from a in and out quicker standpoint, it just does. I would just wish that you guys would consider that, because it just looks so much cleaner, because you got your major entrance up there. And when you flip it, you're going to actually have more of a recessed area where these cats will be able to pull in right there into that corner, back right in, unload your dock, right back out. So, I mean, it's a nice, clean, easy movement from that. If we keep it right there where it is right now, you're going to have to come in, do a hard circle around right there where you've got even proposed landscaping. So he's not going to be able to clip that, and potentially have to fight your customer drive traffic to be able to get back into that space. So probably going to have to be monitored by somebody to get them in right there. Just one of those things I don't have heartburn with, but I wish that you guys would take that to the table in a simple flip right there. Looks like it would work really well for you. And then another one that's out of curiosity right here is your ingress egress. So once again, to me, your best ingress egress point is to your northwest corner up there with the 3 adjacent to your fuel stations. But it looks like we're tightening them and restricting them with the other 2 access points, i.e. your one to, I guess, to the east onto Rutland Drive, and then your one also to the east off to Legacy Point right there. Wish there was more, as Legacy Point can get more traffic on it, more ability for that left-hand movement out of that access point right there. And then you've got a conflicting drive aisle right there where you're going to take your left-hand movement onto Legacy Park, but then you're going to be on Rutland trying to make a left-hand movement into the site right there. So I can see if there's any traffic right there that they would be, at what point do we not do this and we jog around each other at that point in order to get in? Just seems like a little bit challenging to get in and out on that.
I know along Legacy Point, one of the issues is there's a huge grade change from where Rutland is down to the south end of Legacy Point. I think it's 25 feet difference. And so there are less access points along Legacy, which we tried to have the two on the north end. We do believe that most of the members are customers are going to be coming from if that plan east there. And at the back of the site, that's going to be more of an mostly employee entrance and the truck traffic that we do get. Truck traffic is during the morning. We don't do deliveries after 10 a.m. They're typically between 6 and 10 a.m.
Very helpful to know.
Yeah, the delivery trucks that do the in-house delivery, they go out at 8, they come back at 5 typically. So they don't impede the existing traffic for our peak hours during the day. So
Renee, does that include your store product delivery as well?
yes, yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you.
That helps out a lot.
Yeah.
I'll yield the floor. Further questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Hefner, you want to talk about some of your conversations?
Yes. First of all, I appreciate Costco. Glad I can finally say that.
Prosper.
Right, Gino's looking at me. Yeah, I can say it because I've known about this for, I don't know, 6 months now, 7 months. So it's been hard. It's been a while. So anyways, on behalf, and I am sitting on the board, this it actually falls into my district. So I'm excited that you're coming to Mount Juliet, but more importantly, in District 3. So, but no, I did meet with the applicants earlier this evening, and I do appreciate the efforts you made on increasing the brick, because I've seen some earlier versions of the elevation and come a long ways. So I do appreciate also your willingness to add that brick on the back. And then we've got some other things that we're going to be working through as we get more details on Rutland Drive that we'll get with Mr. Barlow before the next BOC meeting and talk through some of those. So I think we got a good path forward on that northern, I guess, would be the western part of Rutland Drive. So appreciate all your willingness and flexibility and open-mindedness to work with us on that. So anyways, thank you again. I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Further questions, comments from the commission? Wonderful. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it. This time, I'd like to open the floor for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda. Commissioner Hefner.
Motion for positive recommendation and based on staff comments and recommendations and requests. Item 7. Remind me on 7. I'm sorry?
Cart corrals.
Oh, the cart corrals. So we are,
I'm good with deleting that if you guys are okay with screening via those.
okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So what's
will
going
allow-
forward,
So
all of our variance requests that they've asked for will be going forward with a positive recommendation with any conditions that we have listed. Is that a correct statement?
that is a correct statement. Did you capture that? What Ms. Hamlin said.
So on some, they say that we don't support them, but since then, they have addressed those comments with us. So if you're comfortable moving the plans forward as proposed with the additional brick on that southern elevation,
Correct.
and then all other comments in the variance request have been addressed. So we would be moving all of those forward with the positive recommendation.
So let me make sure on condition 7, we are going to allow the cart corrals.
Correct.
Okay.
Cart corrals as proposed,
As
As proposed, adjacent to islands.
landscaped islands.
Can
Yes, sir.
we make sure that they're bolted down?
I would hope that they're going to bolt those down.
I see nods of
Oh,
yes.
I hear that they are going to attach those to bollards. Bolted down.
Awesome. I'll second your motion for a positive recommendation.
we're deleting comment number 8.
Correct.
And,
Oh, 9 stays, right?
9 stays, just 8.
Motion stand.
Motion stands.
Second stands. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against, abstentions. That is a positive recommendation. With
I
that
feel like
being
staff should
said-
get a vote on that.
What's that? Yeah. I know what your vote will probably be.
I always
that being
vote on
said,
adjournment.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Against, abstentions, we are adjourned.